We begin today's program with a look at what's happening in the town of Lincoln. CAO Mike Kirkopoulos is in our studio. Mike, you launched a new tourism strategy last summer. Niagara Benchlands is your new brand. Can you tell us a little bit about this and how it's been going?
So we've just actually launched it, as you said, Mike, and so far it's going well. I think people are gravitating to it. Lots of feedback on it. 90% of it, I would say, has been incredibly positive. I think people always look at tourism brands and wonder what that does for the brand that was previously there, which was 20 Valley. But when you have something that is so globally recognized, like Niagara, Niagara Falls, all the things that come with Niagara, we felt it was important to make sure that Niagara was in the name. And so Niagara Benchlands was kicked off, has been kicked off, and overwhelmingly we're hearing positive things about it.
And it really does brand Lincoln as, I would say, not apart from the rest of the region where wineries and breweries and distilleries are taking hold, but it really does give you your own unique brand.
Yeah, I think it does, and I think we've always believed as an economic development group, as a broader Niagara group, that what is good for one part of Niagara, whether that be Niagara Falls, Niagara on the Lake, is also good for places like Grimsby or the town of Lincoln. And so the Benchland piece really is that kind of piece that sets us apart. We have a lot of topography that is very unique in Lincoln. It allows us to grow, and it allows us to see what we're seeing in our municipality. We've got 55 of the region's 80 or so wineries, and I don't think people often know that. No competition with us in Niagara on the Lake. We love our partners across the region, but we do have some world-class wines. Hidden Bench that just won kind of a global recognition for their wines. So we're producing great wines, and that bench piece really is an important element to the topography in Lincoln, and I think it does set us aside. And of course, Lincoln, Ontario is in that name, in that brand, and it will continue to be there. So tying Niagara to Lincoln and Lincoln to Niagara, really we felt was important.
And it does shine the focus on the topography as the use of the word bench. Another tourism-related item, the pirate ship, and you're fighting to maintain those masts.
Yes, and I can absolutely tell you, I've probably received more media inquiries and questions and comments everywhere I go. My daughter's football games, people are saying, so you're keeping the ship? And absolutely, we're still waiting to hear back from the Coast Guard.
There's no question that the ship is going to stay put, right? It's just whether or not you can have those masts, which are the things that draw people to that site.
I think if you're driving down the QEW, if the masts are gone, you probably don't see the ship if you're driving fast, and at certain times of year, when the trees have grown in that area, you're not going to see it. It really is the masts that become kind of that anchor point as you're driving, and so we do want to keep it. Of course, Council, I think with all the other priorities going on, doesn't want to be throwing a lot of money towards keeping this, but from a tourism perspective, there are a lot of people that stop there. If you Google that ship, if you Google that location, you'll come across tens of thousands of entries and pictures. And so it's actually been incredibly overwhelming to see the outpouring. Now, there's a lot of people that also say it's not worth it. Don't worry about it, get rid of it, ships degrade slowly. And so it hasn't been an easy conversation or an easy discussion, but one that's generated a lot of interest.
Another uneasy discussion is the topic of development. We're waiting to see what happens with Prudhomme's redevelopment that's in the town of Lincoln, but there's other areas as well, and development can be a difficult topic to discuss.
It is, and I think like a lot of places that you're seeing, around the Golden Horseshoe for that matter, development is something that is coming. It's coming to the town of Lincoln. There's availability of lands. And you couple that with the fact that I think we are an attractive destination, a destination where people want to be, want to raise their family, want to work in terms of our economy, whether it be on the manufacturing side or on the tourism side and the other offerings that we have. But development definitely is something we're hearing a lot about, seeing a lot, and it isn't easy. We are 2/3 protected under the Green Belt, and so some communities are wrestling with growing out and kind of that urban boundary expansion conversation that you're seeing in certain places. Others are debating growing up. For us, we only have one option, and that's to grow up. And with that comes, I think, some challenges. Not everybody likes it. Not everybody wants to get rid of that kind of character that comes with being smaller or being a medium to small sized municipality like we are. But that's changing, and I think that's just naturally what's happening in terms of demographics, in terms of issues much broader than I think just the town of Lincoln or even the entire province. If you look at things like immigration policies and the fact that more and more people find Canada as attractive as they do and find this region of Canada as attractive as it is.
Residents really guard their identity as a community, and Lincoln has been known as being a rural farming community for so many years.
It absolutely has, and I think even within the context of Lincoln, if you talk to people from Beamsville versus people from Vineland versus those from Jordan, I think you'd also see even within the confines of Lincoln, you have its own unique identity and character. So in a lot of ways, we're a town of many communities. And I think when change happens, change takes a while for people to get their heads around. And I think every community needs to ready themselves for change. Right. Just how quickly that happens is really the question.
Right. Regional transit was on the docket at Niagara Region, and it was passed in support of by council. How do you think the vote is going to happen in your town at council?
So I think within, I would say that there's those that have questions on our council. I think it likely is to pass, not without a lot of, I think, tough questions, tough conversations, some debates for sure.
Your budget just passed for 2022. What does it look like?
So it did. We came in at just a little over 2%, 2.18% to be specific.
Lower than the cost of inflation.
Lower,
right
absolutely. Now? I think inflation's at 4.5%, 4.4 last I read it, but I think that's creeping up to close to 4.7, so about half of that. We also passed a special infrastructure levy of 0.5%, so bringing our total to about 2.68, and that's really just to put some money in the bank for future infrastructure needs. But I think we're not out of the pandemic yet. Council was really focused on wanting to make sure that what we did was affordable and that residents didn't look at their municipal budget in any way and say, here's yet another challenge, another issue to face during the pandemic. So can we keep budgets at under inflation or half of inflation like this moving forward in perpetuity? Probably not. But it is about priorities and having those conversations, and we are seeing some growth, so a lot of infrastructure that needs to be updated.
Mike, we've run out of time. Wish we had more. Thanks for coming into the studio today.
Absolutely. Loved being here, and thanks for having me, Mike.